Mr. Putin is heading to Vietnam for a two-day state visit after wrapping up his trip to North Korea. Security has been ramped up in capital Hanoi, with roadblocks set up and traffic diverted. Both sides expected to discuss opportunities for cooperation in defense, energy and trade. Dasha Chernyshova has more on this upcoming visit to Vietnam.
We understand that this visit is coming as part of the wider Asia tour and at the invitation of the Vietnamese officials. The Russian president is expected to hold a series of meetings with his delegation with the Vietnamese counterparts. The idea of this trip is to review the strategic partnership that these sides have until 2030, and also many analysts say to revive the opportunities that have been missed before. They are primarily in the area of the economy and trade, which has to be beefed up. Keep in mind that Vietnam is one of the countries that is developing very quickly in this region, and Russia, that has been pivoting towards Asian markets away from the European markets, is certainly looking for stronger partnership ties with other countries. So trade is one of the issues that many experts say is going to be on the agenda, but at the same time in Vietnam many also note that this visit will only be strengthening the position of Vietnam on the regional stage.
And Mr. Putin's visit also casts a spotlight on Russia's influence in Southeast Asia, where Hanoi remains one of Moscow's few friends following its invasion of Ukraine. CNA's Tung tells us more.
At this military museum in Hanoi, visitors can find answers to why Vietnam sees Russia as an ally. Wreckage of American airplanes from the Vietnam War are placed next to Soviet-made missile systems and aircrafts that Vietnam used during the war.
Cái sự giúp đỡ của Liên Xô nó vô tư mà to lớn và quan trọng, bởi vì lúc đấy là chúng ta chủ trương là phải giải phóng miền Nam, thống nhất đất nước bằng, nói thẳng ra là bằng bạo lực, bằng cuộc kháng chiến, chứ không phải bằng giải pháp hòa bình như ở Triều Tiên, tìm kiếm một cái giải pháp hòa bình. Và như vậy phải có vũ khí, phải có súng đạn, phải có xăng dầu, phải có rất nhiều thứ.
Assistance from the former Soviet Union played a critical role in Vietnam's history of war and nation building when peace resumed. And now, Vietnam shows its support to Russia as well.
Thực ra mà nói có một số cuộc bỏ phiếu mà liên quan đến cuộc xung đột Nga-Ukraine tại Đại hội đồng Liên Hợp Quốc đó, thì Việt Nam đã bỏ phiếu trắng. Mà những cái dự thảo nghị quyết này do phương Tây đưa ra để chống Nga, thì theo tôi nghĩ bỏ phiếu trắng là không tham gia cái sự chống Nga, cũng là một sự ủng hộ nước Nga.
Putin.
President Putin, sworn in for a fifth time just over a month ago, faces international isolation over the invasion of Ukraine. And his first visit to Hanoi in more than a decade is coming at a time when Russia needs to consolidate any remaining ties it has.
It comes shortly after the peace summit, the Ukraine peace summit in Switzerland, to which Russia was not invited. So Putin wants to demonstrate to the world that efforts by the West to isolate Russia have failed in his view, and that Russia still has friends around the world, including in Asia.
Vietnam had avoided the Ukraine peace summit and is rolling out the red carpet for the Russian president amid rebuke from the US, while having just upgraded relations with Washington just last year.
This is a good way for Vietnam to demonstrate that it has a very balanced foreign policy and that it pursues close and cordial links with all the major powers, including US, China, and Russia.
Apart from boosting cooperation in energy, trade, and ways to get around international sanctions on Russia, the talks in Hanoi are expected to focus on security and defense. Russia is the main provider of big-ticket defense equipment for Vietnam to protect its sovereignty in the South China Sea. But in time of need, Mr. Putin is expected to ask support from Hanoi.
Russia has asked all the countries that it has provided arms to to help it to transfer munitions in particular, which the Russian armed forces are short of. North Korea, as we know, has done so. They have sent millions of rounds of ammunition to Russia. Vietnam so far has not. And I think the Vietnamese leadership will be very reluctant to do so because they don't want to take any steps that can be seen as prolonging the conflict.
Mr. Putin's visit to Hanoi has already triggered rebuke from the U.S. even before his arrival. In a statement, the U.S. Embassy in Hanoi said, "No country should give Putin a platform to promote his war of aggression and otherwise allow him to normalize his atrocities. If he is able to travel freely, it could normalize Russia's blatant violations of international law and inadvertently send the message that atrocities can be committed in Ukraine and elsewhere with impunity, worsening human suffering and prolonging the path to sustainable peace and justice." President Putin will hold talks with Vietnam's top leaders before his departure on Thursday, and the U.S. will be watching what comes out of the visit closely. Tung, CNA, Hanoi.